On this week's Gadget Show Web TV, John's still hard at work testing the iPad. I bring you this week's best tech news and head to Liverpool to check out the latest racing game from Activision and Bizarre Creations. Hello and welcome to this week's Web TV. Right, later on I check out one of the big racing games for the summer. It's called Blur. But first, John hasn't been able to put down the iPad since Gadget Show Live, and with more testing comes more feedback. So, over to John for his thoughts.
Now, I used the iPad at Gadget Show Live for a couple of days to do a report for the main show, and I ended up being rather generous to it, actually, and giving it 4 Gs. Well, I've used it now for just over a week. Has the novelty worn off? Well, I'm still impressed by the rather glorious screen with its very strong colours and extremely good angle of view. The battery life is proving to be pretty much as good as they say. I know I am charging it more or less every day, but that's only because I'm using it so much. As for the games, well, they're still delightful and great fun, although I am starting to wish for a few paddles round the back in driving games for a bit more interaction with them. And I'm still getting delight from some of the apps. I particularly like the Guardian's Eyewitness Photo app, which does a great job of showing the pictures and enabling you to look at the descriptions and tips, much better than the equivalent page of the newspaper's website. However, the more I use it, the more the negative aspects of the iPad usership experience start to niggle. Increasingly, I'm finding I pick up the iPad, use it for a little bit, but then put it down in favour of the laptop or even a netbook instead, because they can stand up of their own accord without any accessories while you're watching a video, and they're also much easier to type on, whether you're writing an email or entering your credit card details. And I'm not that enamoured by the iPad as an e-reader. I like the great graphic effects in the iBooks application, but if you take it outside in the garden, particularly when it's sunny, you can't see anything on the screen for the reflections. No such problem with e-ink. And the Wi-Fi reception isn't great either. I mean, I found in places where I was getting nearly a full signal on my laptop and my netbook, I was getting virtually no signal, if any, on this, which really isn't good enough. Now, one solution, because this thing does actually need to be connected to the internet most of the time, is to use 3G, except obviously Apple will have you wait for the 3G version to come along, and then will charge you, say, 15 quid a month for some dedicated SIM card that won't go into anything else, whereas clearly with an ordinary laptop I could just stick in a much cheaper dongle and use it on anything. And then there's the whole problem of a lack of a card reader. I know you can get one as an option, but I found at Gadget Show Live, in the absence of reliable Wi-Fi, the only way I could get a document of this thing was to take a photograph of the screen using my digital camera. Unbelievable! Overall, though, I'm not regretting giving the iPad 4 Gs, because Apple have done something really remarkable by making a tablet computer that you actually want to use.
Right, time for the news, and no sooner than you can even get the chance to go and buy an iPad, it seems that Apple's attention's already shifting across to their latest iPhone, which, according to reports, will almost certainly arrive in June. Now, this will come as no surprise, as all previous iPhone releases have happened in the summer at a similar time, including last year's iPhone 3GS. Analysts are predicting that the latest arrival will be labelled either the iPhone HD or the iPhone 4G, and hints like this all add to the likeliness of a phone that could bring 4G functionality, a faster processor and a better camera with that all-important flash. Next, with Sony releasing their Flip competitor, the Bloggy, it seems that Flip want to stay one step ahead in the market with the release of their next product, the Flip Slide HD, which brings a touchscreen user interface to the Flip device and costs $279. Flip are pitching the Slide HD as the world's best shoot-and-show camcorder. It comes with a 3-inch screen and 12 hours of record time, as well as the normal Flip tools like the fold-out USB connector and video quality of up to 720p at 30 frames per second. There is also a child-safe mode to prevent any accidental deletion of clips. Sadly, no UK release date or price has been set just yet, but as soon as we know more, we'll let you know. With more and more racing simulators being released, such as Forza 3 and Need for Speed Shift, it seems like the creators of the Project Gotham racing series, Bizarre Creations, wanted to take their talents in a new direction. So I visited their studios to find out exactly where their latest title is headed. Blur is the first game from Bazaar that features a racing style that incorporates real-world cars and tracks, but uses arcade-style handling and power-up based vehicle combat including shock, barge, shunt, mines and nitro, which all add up to some ultimate single and multiplayer mayhem and total destruction. So this is where Blur and their other racing titles were created by a team of highly skilled games designers passionate about racing as much as gaming. So let's go and check out the studio. So in here we've got the audio rooms. Let's go and meet the guys. Hi, I'm Dion.
I'm Mike.
And
I'm
Nick.
Our brief that was given to us by the design team was they wanted big, epic Hollywood sounds. They want sci-fi blockbuster sounds.
To really get you in there,
Really get you in there. The power-ups are all about, light and power, and we wanted to try and reproduce that. The first power-up that we looked at was nitrous, which is a speed boost. So we wanted to give that sort of sense of speed and power.
Listen to that.
So here it comes.
Nice. I have to ask, because you've got some nice little sort of artistic, you've got like a couple of Mr. Potato Heads here, but you've also got the door.
A car door, yes. We were trying to record the sound of cars skidding. We got a drift car and then we went out onto a big sort of test track and just did loads of drifts and all sorts of cool skids.
To get the sound in as many different
skidding as possible. And they also had an off-road track, so we went on there. Now when we came back, we listened to that session and thought, well, when you go off-road, it's not the actual tyre that makes most of the sound. It's all the stones and dirt
flicking up and hitting the
bodywork. It was really difficult to isolate that from the recordings we got because there's so much other sound going on at the time. So we took an old Ford Capri door, we've hit it with hammers, we've tied it to ropes and dragged it along behind a car with me hanging out the back with a microphone to get the sound of it scraping along the floor. But to get the sound of the stones hitting the bodywork, essentially we went out the back of the office where there's a little garden, stole some stones and threw them
just start
at
throwing.
the door.
This is Chris, he's the lead environment artist for Blur. Chris and the design team have put a huge amount of painstaking attention to detail to create the design, look and feel of all the real-world tracks from London to San Francisco, utilising real-world maps and photos to make the tracks as realistic as possible.
We've kind of created these hybrid kind of cities that are part exactly the same as the city, and then what we've done is we've kind of researched the areas around, found really nice bits that are either good roads to drive or really interesting visually in terms of their buildings, and we've taken those bits and kind of lifted them and gone
mashed them together to make.
This is our map of Hackney, and this is sort of the real world. Got Shoreditch High Street, which comes down the middle here. Anything else around that is based on sort of real things that we've moved.
You've picked out the best bits and sort of shoved them in.
We have, yeah. What we really liked was this road that came round here and this group of buildings. So if I show you in game where that is, so this area here is this bit here. And as we take a look at the shape of these buildings here, it's basically these. It's kind of all based on the same thing, and as we turn around, we've got the other side of the road, which is these boarded up flats with the shops at the bottom.
Lots of attention to detail. You wouldn't, you sort of take it for granted when you're playing a game that all this effort has gone into creating the tracks and the environment that you're in. Well, there you have it. Blur is an exciting, unique and innovative driving game due for release in May. But it looks set to have some strong competition from Split Second, the highly anticipated racing game from Disney. Either way, I can't wait to get my hands on a copy of both for some uninterrupted living room testing. Sadly, that's all we've got time for this week, but if you want to reminisce about your time at Gadget Show Live, or if you didn't get to go and you want to find out exactly what you've missed, then you can still check out our wealth of videos directly from the event, including exhibitor interviews and a behind the scenes at the Super Theatre. And of course, don't forget to check out the main show this Monday night at 8 on 5. This week, Jason, Susie, Otis and John are in for a surprise as they have a fun-packed episode full of challenges with a difference, as they have no idea what they're in for. So discover the presenters' fate as they do. It's going to be an episode not to miss. But from us here at Web TV, we'll see you next time.